Okay, that one took a lot out of me, but at least the worst part is done, right? Okay, so what's next? The Kwamis? Come on! Okay, let's do this rapid fire for two reasons. One, I'm running on fumes at this point. And two, they don't have many unique personalities, but I'll still give short descriptions. Now, these guys were why I got hooked into the show. I don't care how much of a child that makes me sound. These guys are very adorable with their big heads and very expressive eyes. First up, Tiki is Marinette's Kwami, being her source of power. And that second part of the sentence is going to go for the same for all of the Kwamis.
Whoever's behind all of this sure is keeping us on our toes. But you don't have any toes.
Tiki is very quick to comfort, always being there to help Marinette through any situation as best she can and know when to hide. Just keep her away from sweets. Plag is Adrian's Kwami. He's obsessed with smelly cheeses, especially Camembert.
No! My favorite old honeycomb cheese smushed into fresh goat cheese. Well, we'll deal with that later.
He's a fun time and always helps Adrian when he really needs it. Even down to going straight to Ladybug when Adrian gives up being Cat Noir. Which happens more than you think. Nuru is used by Gabriel, and, well, we don't know too much about him because he doesn't have much of a personality to see. Except that he's very timid, though that's also because he's a slave of Hawkmoth in every form except name. Throughout the first 3 seasons, Waze acts almost like the leader of the Kwamis, always being at Master Fu's side during the first 3 seasons, and he gives out quite a bit of advice. Trix apparently is mischievous, though we don't see much of that. However, I do like his relationship with Alia, and he's the only other Kwami who's been with an owner for the majority of his appearances. And his unmanned power has the funniest drawback when the Eiffel Tower just starts dancing. Pollen is very proper, always giving a slight bow to her owners when they first meet her. She also has a very proper way of speaking, as if she were raised by royals. Dusu is constantly all over the place in terms of emotion. However, the simplest way I can say it is she is very overdramatic during her scenes. And this can get a small chuckle every now and then. Mulo is very playful and acts like a child every now and then. And her little front teeth are just adorable. There's not much on Stomp, but he does like having an owner with great physical strength. Roar is very expressive, loud, and confident, willing to push someone outside of their comfort zone. When she was first paired with Julika, Roar kept pushing her to shout out an answer. But this also helped Julika grow as a character, lowering her timid nature. Fluff has a scattered memory, sometimes being very confused about time and history, like her first line in Time Tagger.
Was it breakfast or dinner? What time will it be yesterday? Was it tomorrow already? When it'll be the day after tomorrow, it will have been yesterday again.
But her little carrot snacks are so cute and, like all the other Kwamis, just watching her eat is so freaking cute. Long is practically a perfect partner for Kagami, as the latter strives for perfection. However, their relationship can still be a little bit rocky, like during their first meeting. Sass is apparently the leader of the Kwamis, but he's not in many episodes. But he does have such a great personality when teamed up with Luca. Kalki is very proper and noble, and will rarely ever do something considered random, compared to the other Kwamis. Also, I love when she uses her powers without a holder. Seriously, when she used Voyage on her own in Optigami, I laughed so hard at the side effects caused by her power. There's not much to say about Ziggy, except her cute little horns that make her seem like the youngest of the Kwamis in the show. Shupu has been described as very special. His comedic timing is on point, especially when it comes to his conversations with Kim. Again, there's not much to say about Oriko, as he only has one interaction with his miraculous wielder before Season 5, where he, along with all the other Kwamis, was practically sidelined. Bark, out of all the one-time Kwamis, has the most personality. She is very protective and dutiful, volunteering to stay with the Miraculous box in Furious Fu in case anything happened. Also, I just had to mention that episode because her seated position here is so funny. And finally, Daisy and her holder Rose are practically the same being, as they both like cute things and are happy for the majority of the time. And that's it for the Kwamis. I know there's a lot more to talk about with these guys, but I'm probably going to save that for an in-depth breakdown in the future. For now, let's just move on.
Kwami, Queemy, Kloomy, who? The special chosen one is you! There, Marinette State!
Oh, no you don't! That's cheating!
Now let's get to the topic I wanted to talk about the most from this series, the akumatized villains. Now, there's a lot to talk about for them, but I'll keep things quick and to the point for the sake of everybody's sanity. What I'm mostly going to talk about here are the designs, powers, and other interesting details about the villains the heroes go up against. Now, the two villains that I found the most interesting are Mime and Mr. Pigeon, who, fun fact, were first featured in the original Ladybug animated trailer. Their original and in-show looks are very similar. Heck, actually, I don't even think there are any differences. As are their powers, so there's not really much else to talk about. Now, as we move on, we're going to focus on select villains, but I will also say that a lot of these guys have such memorable character designs. Evillustrator is one of the best designed villains I've seen from this show, with his standard artist appearance and the use of a drawing tablet to create or erase anything. In my opinion, this is one of the best ways the show has taken old traditional appearances and combined them with modern day technology. And Wishmaker has such a unique power, with the ability to make people literally live out their dreams, which leads to some hilarious jokes.
Look, I'm a cucumber!
Yeah, if you didn't know, that's Mr. Banana there from a previous episode. And on to some great villain powers. Lady Wi-Fi is both pretty hot and has such an interesting power, which, funny enough, comes from her phone. I wonder what generation that she's part of. Dark Owl is basically an evil version of Batman, who's my personal favorite hero of all time. And his self-titled episode is such a fun time to watch. And the Collector has a very cool superpower. Why do you ask questions to which you already know the answers to? I also have to talk about the two villains I enjoyed watching the most. Anna Maestro has such a sad and understanding story, as he's the director of an animated movie, but no one really knows him, as there's not much he quote-unquote did for the movie, and so no one pays him much attention. Which, as someone who loves animated movies, I can understand where that's coming from. And Silencer has a pretty funny power and a cool look. And his story is one that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially when dealing with corporations. I'm not related to that, am I? And finally, I gotta talk about some of these names. While some names like Timebreaker or Oblivio are cool and really give a sense of what they can do, or some funny or random names like Roger Cop or Kung Food, which also hold some cool references. But then we also have some names that are just dumb. I mean, there's literally a villain named Guitar Villain. That just sounds like a placeholder for the episode's villain before they could come up with a better name. But these villain names come up once every 15 episodes or so I can't be too mad at it.